The morning sun barely pierced the fog as I stood in the ruins of my family's century-old home, clutching my grandfather's shattered portrait. Just 3 days after his funeral, the Willow Creek HOA, led by the ruthless Catherine Sterling, had bulldozed my sanctuary in 30 seconds flat, citing aesthetic violations. I'm Nathan Carter, a 32-year-old hydraulic engineer, raised by my grandfather in that house since I was 7. He taught me how water finds its way, and now, with his memory desecrated, I was about to show Catherine that justice flows just as relentlessly. What she didn't know was that I designed the water system powering her multi-million-dollar Silver Hoof Ranch. One valve, one tap on my phone, and her empire would dry up. This wasn't just revenge, it was a reckoning. The trouble started with a certified letter from the HOA, its pretentious letterhead screaming violation. My grandfather's house, built in 1924, didn't meet their new, modern aesthetic standards, passed in a secret meeting the day we chose his casket. I was still raw from grief, sitting on the hardwood floor he'd laid himself, when I read their threat: comply within 30 days or face demolition. The words burned. I scoured their website, finding the new bylaw buried in meeting minutes, a deliberate jab while I was burying the man who raised me. That night, James Houghton, my grandfather's lawyer and friend, showed up with a casserole and a warning. Catherine Sterling collects properties like trophies, he said, settling into the recliner. She's targeting this block for a luxury resort, and your house is in her way. His eyes, sharp behind wire-rimmed glasses, told me this was personal. Catherine had a playbook: find violations, harass owners, force sales or demolitions. My home wasn't just the target, it was the cornerstone of her plan. I vowed to fight, not knowing the ace I held. 3 years ago, I designed a water system for an anonymous client through a Shell companion masterpiece of engineering supplying a high-end equestrian ranch. I never met the owner, but James's mention of Cateron's Silver Hoof Ranch sparked a suspicion. In my grandfather's desk, among his will and deeds, I found a note in his careful script: "Son, water always finds its path. Trust your skills and the tools they don't see." It felt like a message from beyond. Then, headlights pierced the dusk. A black Bentley idled outside, Cateron's blonde silhouette studying my house like a predator. My stomach churned as she drove off, her confidence a silent threat. The next morning, another letter listed absurd violations: grass too tall, fence color wrong, even my grandfather's fishing gnome band. Cateron's assistant stonewalled me, directing appeals to a 6-week process. I dug through old files, finding the house's 1924 deed, predating the HOA. Could they even touch it? Before I could explore, Evelyn Brooks, my neighbor of 40 years, slipped through the back door with a manila envelope. Cateron's been planning this for months, she whispered, revealing leaked HOA emails. They outlined a beautification scheme to force out residents, targeting my home during my grandfather's illness. One email mentioned Silver Hoof Ranch's water needs, and my heart stopped. That was my system, pumping water from my family's land to her horses, fields, and secret resort plans. Catherine was stealing my work to fuel her empire. A text from an unknown number chilled me: "Nice house. Shame if it got worse." Attached was a photo of my front step, close enough to show every crack. I forwarded it to James, who urged me to document everything. That night, the Bentley returned, 2 suited men eyeing my property. Catherine was escalating, but I had access to her ranch's water system through an app I'd built. Every valve, every sensor, was mine to command. At 6 a.m., diesel engines roared. 3 bulldozers loomed in my driveway, led by a man in a cheap suit waving a court order signed by Judge Ellison. "Vacate now, Nathan Carter," he barked. James, on the phone, screamed it was fake. Judge Ellison didn't issue overnight orders. I live-streamed the scene, my voice shaking. "They are tearing down my grandfather's house with a forged order." Thousands watched as the bulldozers advanced. I grabbed my grandfather's portrait and his medal box, but the first blade hit the porch, splintering memories. The living room wall collapsed, and the portrait fell, glass shattering like my heart. I dropped to my knees, helpless, as my home became rubble. Sarah Lynn, a fierce investigative blogger, arrived, filming and grilling the crew's leader, Tom, about the order's legality. His answers crumbled under her questions. James arrived with an injunction, but it was too late. My home was gone. Evelyn handed me a wooden box my grandfather had entrusted to her. Inside were USB drives with my water system designs, admin passwords for Silverhoof, and another note: water needs a nudge sometimes. Use what they don't expect. I knew then Catherine had miscalculated. She'd left me with nothing to lose. In a Starbucks at 2 a.m., I poured over the drives. Silverhoof's water came from my family's aquifer, my system supplying her horses, fields, and illicit water sales to other ranches. She'd built a private utility on stolen infrastructure, hiding her identity when hiring me. Leaked emails showed her plan: a Willow Creek Premium Estates resort, with my land as its water source. A new text threatened Sarah's safety, showing her unlocked door. She was shaken but unbowed, connecting me with Mike Sullivan, a fired Silverhoof worker. Over diner coffee, Mike revealed Catherine's goal: control regional water rights for a resort empire, using my system to claim legal usage. His recording of Catherine ordering permanent solutions for owners like me was chilling proof of her corruption. Catherine sued me for $2 million, alleging defamation from my live stream. The same Judge Ellison's name was on the complaint. James showed me her playbook: 12 similar lawsuits, all settled under Ellison's rulings. He'd found her ties to Ellison donations to his golf club, catering for his daughter's wedding. Sarah uncovered Catherine's 7-year water rights grab across 3 counties, a monopoly to control development. In my motel room, I watched my app's data. Silverhoof's water flowed perfectly, 800 gallons daily for her horses. But I'd built an override. One tap could shut it down. Caught, they felt like a trap. Catherine, in a cream suit, taunted me with her lawyer's smug confidence. Ellison's bias was clear, but James presented bank records, photos, and permits proving Catherine's fraud and Ellison's conflicts. Her lawyer painted me as a liar, but the courtroom shifted as James exposed her empire. Then my phone buzzed alarms from Silverhoof. In a rage at Catherine's smack, I tapped the valve, cutting her water. Her phone rang seconds later, her composure cracking as she read reports of dry stables in 95-degree heat. "Your Honor, I need a recess," she pleaded, fleeing to save her horses. Her exit screamed guilt, confirming her reliance on my system. She returned disheveled, accusing me of sabotage. "He's cut off water to my ranch, endangering livestock," she cried, admitting her illegal use. Ellison asked if her business depended on my land's water. Her frantic defense claiming permits fell apart as James showed forged documents and Evelyn played a video of Catherine hiding pumps on my property 3 years ago. Sheriff Dan Whitaker stood, revealing Catherine's fraud with her late husband's signature, forged for years. Ellison, cornered, dismissed the lawsuit, banned Catherine's water use, and ordered her records seized. Her ranch was sold to pay me restitution. I bought it for what she owed, turning it into the Carter Community Center for kids to learn engineering and sustainability. 6 months later, I stood in my rebuilt home, my grandfather's portrait restored. Catherine got 18 months for fraud. James became a judge, Sarah won a journalism award, and Evelyn was a local hero. Water flowed again, and so did justice. My grandfather was right: it always finds its way, especially when you turn the right valve. Catherine thought power was money and connections, but knowledge and truth cut deeper. Her empire fell because she underestimated an engineer with nothing left to lose. The fight isn't over. Others may try her tricks, but I keep teaching, sharing, and watching. Some victories aren't about winning, but about ensuring no one else loses what matters most.